Rome, a name synonymous with power and ambition. For centuries, it stood as a beacon of civilization. But the Rome of emperors and gladiators wasn't built in a day. It was forged by Augustus Caesar. This is the story of how a republic became an empire, a tale of political maneuvering and bloody battles. Augustus, born Gaius Octavius, wasn't born to rule. He was thrust into it after Julius Caesar's assassination. His story is about Rome's transformation, from a fractured republic to a unified empire. Augustus's reign was a fundamental shift in Roman society, a story of ambition and power. This is the untold story of Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. Imagine a world on the brink. The Roman Republic, for centuries a symbol of stability and strength, was crumbling from within. Civil wars raged, ambitious generals vying for power, their legions clashing across the empire. The Senate, once the heart of Roman democracy, was paralyzed by corruption and infighting. It was into this world of chaos and uncertainty that Augustus was born. He inherited not only Caesar's name, but the mantle of his ambition, his vision for a stronger, more unified Rome. But the young Caesar was no stranger to the brutality of Roman politics. He had witnessed firsthand the assassination of his great-uncle, Julius Caesar, a pivotal moment that would forever shape his destiny. The Roman world was a tapestry woven with threads of ambition, treachery, and the ever-present threat of violence. To survive in this world, Augustus would need to be cunning, ruthless, and possess a political acumen that belied his young age. He would need to learn to navigate the treacherous currents of Roman politics, to forge alliances and crush his enemies with equal ruthlessness. The stage was set for a power struggle that would determine the fate of Rome, and Augustus, the young heir to Caesar's legacy, would be at the heart of it all. Born Gaius Octavius Thurinus, Augustus's early life was far removed from the grandeur and power he would later embody. He was born into a wealthy, but not particularly influential family in the Roman countryside. His great-uncle, Julius Caesar, was a rising star in Roman politics, but their paths rarely crossed in those early years. However, fate, it seemed, had other plans. When Augustus was just a teenager, Caesar, having secured his position as dictator of Rome, formally adopted his young grandnephew as his son and heir. This single act catapulted Augustus into the heart of Roman politics, placing him directly in line to inherit Caesar's vast power and influence. Little did anyone know that this seemingly unremarkable young man would soon be thrust into the center of a power struggle that would determine the fate of Rome itself. He was about to inherit not only Caesar's name but also the responsibility of fulfilling his vision for a unified and powerful Rome. The assassination of Julius Caesar sent shockwaves through the Roman world. For Augustus, it was a brutal introduction to the cutthroat reality of Roman politics. He was just 18 years old, thrust into a world of danger and intrigue, forced to grow up quickly in the shadow of his murdered benefactor. The death of Caesar left a void in Roman politics, a vacuum of power that his ambitious lieutenants and rivals were all too eager to fill. Among them was Mark Antony, Caesar's trusted general, a charismatic and ambitious man who saw himself as the natural successor to Caesar's power. Augustus, still a young man, was initially overshadowed by these more seasoned power players, but he possessed a sharp intellect, a keen understanding of Roman politics, and a ruthlessness that few suspected. He also held a powerful weapon, the name of Caesar. The Roman people, still reeling from the assassination, yearned for stability and leadership. Augustus, as Caesar's adopted son and heir, became a symbol of continuity, a beacon of hope in a time of uncertainty. He skillfully used this sentiment to his advantage, rallying Caesar's loyal legions and supporters to his cause. The stage was set for a clash of titans. Augustus, the young heir, driven by a potent mix of ambition and a desire to avenge his great-uncle, would soon find himself locked in a deadly struggle for control of Rome, with Mark Antony, the seasoned general, and other contenders vying for power. The Roman Republic, already teetering on the brink, would be forever changed by the outcome. Rome was a city in mourning, but it was also a city ripe for exploitation. The assassination of Julius Caesar left a power vacuum filled by ambitious men. Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal lieutenant, was a formidable contender. But lurking in the shadows was the young Octavian, later Augustus. Just 18, he was often underestimated, but Octavian possessed a keen intellect and steely determination. He understood the power of the name Caesar. He traveled to Rome to claim his inheritance, met with curiosity and skepticism. The Roman elite weren't sure what to make of him. They were witnessing the rise of a master strategist. Octavian understood the balance of power in Rome. He knew he couldn't achieve his goals through brute force alone. He needed to forge alliances and use Caesar's legacy. His path to power was paved with cunning and bloodshed. Mark Antony, initially dismissive of the young Octavian, soon realized the potential threat he posed. Octavian, bolstered by his legitimacy as Caesar's heir and his growing popularity with the people, was quickly becoming a force to be reckoned with. Antony, a pragmatist at heart, saw an opportunity to neutralize this potential rival by bringing him into the fold. Thus began one of the most unlikely and consequential partnerships in Roman history. Antony, the seasoned general, and Octavian, the ambitious heir, joined forces, their common enemy, the assassins of Caesar, proving a powerful unifying force. This alliance, however, was built on shaky ground, a marriage of convenience rather than genuine trust. Both men harbored their own ambitions, their own visions for the future of Rome. Antony, with his military prowess and charismatic appeal, saw himself as the natural successor to Caesar's mantle. Octavian, meanwhile, was determined to avenge his great-uncle's murder and secure his own place at the helm of the Roman state. Their alliance was a delicate dance, a constant struggle for dominance and control. They needed each other to eliminate their enemies, but their rivalry simmered beneath the surface, threatening to erupt into open conflict at any moment. The fate of Rome hung in the balance, the future of the Republic resting on the precarious alliance between two ambitious and ruthless men. To further solidify their position and bring order to the chaotic Roman world, Antony and Octavian, along with Marcus Aemilius Lepidus, another powerful general, formed the Second Triumvirate. This triumvirate, unlike the informal alliance between Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus decades earlier, was a legally sanctioned entity, granted extraordinary powers by the Roman Senate to restore order and avenge Caesar's death. The triumvirs wasted no time in consolidating their power. They launched a series of proscriptions, essentially hit lists, targeting their political enemies, both real and perceived. These proscriptions, brutal and unforgiving, led to the deaths of thousands of Roman citizens, their property confiscated to fund the triumvirate's armies and campaigns. Among those targeted were many members of the Roman elite, senators and equestrians, who had opposed Caesar or were deemed a threat to the triumvirate's authority. The streets of Rome ran red with blood as the triumvirs tightened their grip on power, their reign of terror silencing any dissent and consolidating their control over the vast Roman state. This period of violence and upheaval left an indelible mark on Roman society. The old order, already weakened by years of civil war and political instability, was shattered. The Senate, once the symbol of Roman republicanism, was reduced to a rubber stamp institution, its authority overshadowed by the power of the triumvirate. With their grip on Rome firmly established, the triumvirate turned their attention eastward, to the assassins of Caesar who had sought refuge in the eastern provinces. Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus, the two leading figures in the conspiracy against Caesar, had amassed a formidable army, their ranks swelled by disgruntled senators and remnants of the old Pompeian faction. The two armies clashed at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC, a brutal encounter that would decide the fate of the Roman world. The battle, fought over 2 days, was a close-run affair, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. In the end, however, the combined forces of Antony and Octavian proved too strong. Brutus and Cassius, facing defeat, chose suicide over capture. The victory at Philippi was a turning point for the Second Triumvirate. They had avenged Caesar's death, crushed their enemies, and solidified their control over the Roman world. But the seeds of discord were already being sown. The uneasy alliance between Antony and Octavian, strained by their shared ambition and mutual suspicion, began to unravel. The victory at Philippi, while a triumph for the triumvirate, marked the beginning of the end for their fragile alliance. Rome, having survived one civil war, was about to be plunged into another, a conflict that would pit former allies against each other in a struggle for ultimate power. In the aftermath of Philippi, the Roman world was carved up between the victors. Antony, drawn to the allure of the East and the riches of Egypt, took control of the eastern provinces. Octavian, ever the pragmatist, consolidated his power in the West, focusing on restoring order and stability to war-torn Italy. The distance between the two men, both geographically and ideologically, grew with each passing year. Antony, entangled in a passionate and politically charged affair with Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt, began to adopt Eastern customs and manners, alienating many in Rome who saw his actions as a betrayal of Roman values. Octavian, meanwhile, skillfully used Antony's perceived transgressions to his advantage. He portrayed himself as the defender of Roman tradition, the champion of the people against the excesses and foreign influences represented by Antony and Cleopatra. The stage was set for a final showdown, a clash of civilizations that would determine the fate of the Roman world. The Roman Republic, already on life support after years of civil war and political turmoil, was about to be torn asunder. On one side stood Antony, the seasoned general, allied with the exotic Queen of Egypt. On the other stood Octavian, the calculating heir of Caesar, determined to restore Rome to its former glory, even if it meant dismantling the very foundations of the Republic itself. Antony, captivated by Cleopatra's beauty and seduced by Egypt's wealth, lost sight of his Roman roots. He bestowed lavish gifts upon Cleopatra, actions seen as scandalous in Rome. Octavian seized upon these rumors, fanning discontent and painting Antony as Cleopatra's puppet. The Senate, wary of Cleopatra's influence, shifted allegiance to Octavian, the last hope for Rome. Propaganda and power plays. Octavian, a master of political maneuvering, understood the power of perception. He knew that victory depended not just on military might, but on winning hearts and minds. He demonized Antony and Cleopatra, portraying himself as Rome's savior. His image projected strength, piety, and traditional Roman virtue. He delivered speeches denouncing Antony and warning of Cleopatra's ambitions. He declared war on Cleopatra, framing it as defense against a foreign threat. Octavian's propaganda was simple and effective. He tapped into Roman fears of foreign influence and strongmen undermining the Republic. He presented himself as the only one capable of protecting Rome. Antony struggled to counter Octavian's relentless campaign. Antony's attempts to defend his legacy were drowned out. The Roman people increasingly believed Octavian's version of events. The Battle of Actium. The stage was set for a final confrontation that would decide the fate of the Roman world. Antony's fleet, though larger, was less maneuverable. Cleopatra, fearing capture, ordered her ships to flee. Antony, witnessing Cleopatra's retreat, abandoned his fleet, sealing his fate and ensuring Octavian's victory. This pivotal moment marked the end of Antony's challenge and cemented Octavian's dominance. The spoils of victory. The Battle of Actium cemented Octavian's position as the master of the Roman world. Antony and Cleopatra fled to Egypt, where they both took their own lives. With their deaths, Egypt became a Roman province, its wealth flowing into Octavian's coffers. Octavian had eliminated his rivals and brought an end to decades of civil war, ready to reshape Rome. The dawn of empire. Octavian returned to Rome in triumph, hailed as a hero. He understood that fundamental changes were needed to ensure lasting peace. Carefully, he dismantled the old order while maintaining the illusion of republican continuity. The Republic was about to transform into a unified empire under Octavian, soon to be known as Augustus. The illusion of republic. In 27 BC, Octavian appeared before the Senate, offering to return his powers. The Senate, taken aback, begged him to remain as Rome's protector. He accepted, receiving the title Augustus and authority over all legions and provinces. The Republic, in all but name, had ceased to exist, replaced by a new order with Augustus at its head. Section 2. The Pax Romana. Augustus embarked on reforms to heal the wounds of civil war. His reign marked the beginning of the Pax Romana, a period of peace and stability. Roads, aqueducts, and temples were constructed, symbolizing Roman power. Augustus secured his power by creating a system that benefited the Roman people, ensuring their loyalty. Augustus recognized the need for efficient governance. He overhauled the administration, creating a centralized bureaucracy. Provinces were ruled by governors appointed by Augustus, ensuring loyalty. Public works improved lives and facilitated trade, solidifying control. Augustus reformed the legal system, bringing order and predictability to Roman law. Augustus understood the power of symbolism. He transformed Rome with grand monuments and public spaces. The Forum of Augustus and other constructions showcased his power. Patronizing the arts, he shaped public opinion and glorified his reign. Augustus ensured his legacy was etched in stone and Roman society. Augustus's reign was a period of intellectual and cultural ferment. He promoted traditional values, marriage, and public piety. His reforms and patronage created unity and a shared identity. Augustus left behind a unified, prosperous empire. His reign marked the beginning of the Age of Augustus. The Pax Romana came at a price. Augustus concentrated power in his hands, altering the political landscape. Dissent was muted, and opposition was ruthlessly crushed. The Praetorian Guard and intelligence network ensured his authority. The peace Augustus brought was a trade-off for political freedom. Augustus faced the problem of succession. He groomed his stepson Tiberius as his heir. Intrigue and power struggles marked the transition. Livia, Augustus's wife, played a significant role in shaping the succession. The question of succession would continue to challenge the empire. Augustus died in 14 AD, leaving behind a transformed Rome. He brought peace, prosperity, and unity to a divided land. His legacy was a complex tapestry of brilliance and ruthlessness. Augustus laid the foundations for a system of governance that endured for centuries. His name remains etched in history as the first emperor of Rome, transforming a republic into an empire. The ghost of Augustus loomed large over his successors. The system he crafted became the template for Roman imperial rule. His successors were judged in the shadow of his accomplishments. The cult of Augustus flourished long after his death. Temples were erected in his honor, his birthday celebrated with games and festivals. He became a symbol of Roman power and unity, his image emblazoned on coins and statues, a constant reminder of the golden age he had ushered in. The very name Caesar became synonymous with the office of emperor, a testament to the enduring legacy of the man who had first held that title. From the steppes of Russia to the sands of North Africa, the name Caesar evoked images of Roman power, authority, and the Pax Romana. Augustus, the master builder, had not only constructed roads, aqueducts, and temples, but had also built an enduring legacy, a legacy that would shape the course of Western civilization for centuries to come. His influence, like the ripples spreading from a stone cast into a still pond, would continue to be felt long after his death. His name forever intertwined with the story of Rome's rise to greatness. Augustus's legacy is a subject of ongoing debate among historians. Was he a savior who rescued Rome from chaos and laid the foundations for a glorious empire? Or was he a shrewd opportunist, a destroyer of republican ideals who ushered in an era of autocratic rule? The truth, as is often the case, lies somewhere in between. There is no denying that Augustus was a master of realpolitik. He was ruthless in eliminating his rivals, cunning in manipulating the political system to his advantage, and masterful in shaping public opinion through propaganda and carefully crafted displays of power. He understood that true power lay not just in military might, but in securing the consent of the governed. Yet, he was also a man of vision, a leader who recognized that the Roman world, exhausted by decades of civil war, yearned for stability and order. He provided that stability, but at a price, the price of liberty and the messy, unpredictable nature of true democracy. Augustus's legacy is a reminder that history is rarely black and white. Great leaders, even those hailed as heroes, are often complex figures, driven by a mix of noble aspirations and a thirst for power. The Roman Empire eventually crumbled, but Augustus's legacy endures. His name is synonymous with power and ambition. Augustus shaped Western civilization and left an indelible mark. His influence is seen in our architecture and legal principles. Augustus's story is a testament to ambition and power. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the notification bell.